People like a rolling stone. Every concept, they put all great.
Julia won't be here. Correct. Yeah, I was gonna say
It's
that.
like the sound.
So
Well, they because it's a,
right now Glenn is the only one
you know,
that's
it's
missing.
a,
Okay. I hadn't heard.
yeah, I guess it's interesting that
Okay.
it's a high impedance, which, you know, transistors are low impedance.
And we don't expect the town manager, Steve.
Steve, no, he won't be here. He's actually on his way to Miami, I think.
Okay.
Wild.
The Japanese are really into this. There's a lot of companies and it.
Not bad.
I saw your email. I did not answer it.
All members other than Julia are present. Julia is out of the country.
Thank you. We don't technically have any members of the public, but that was the next order of business, so we can probably skip that for now, and we have a lot to cover. So next order of business is approving the minutes from September. If we have a motion for that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes passed from September. And next, we're going to go into rules, purpose and rules for tonight's meeting. I'll let Joe start.
All right, I just wanted to make clear, we have 3 members of the town council here tonight. 4 is a quorum, so we just want to go on record that we do not have a quorum of town councilors, so this is not an unscheduled meeting or whatever. And there'll be no decisions made, other than perhaps what we might want to do for next steps. Okay, but we're not making any formal decisions tonight. I just want to go on record for that.
Okay. Good to clarify. All right. Next order is ideas for the committee to consider from, I guess, proposed by the town councilors Sonke and Scott. If you want to kick us off, or we can all just dive into a conversation here.
Sure. Okay. Well, thank you very much for having us tonight. I'm glad we have this opportunity. I'm glad there is an Energy and Environment Committee to kind of run these ideas by. I guess in part, this came in response to a proposal that the town council received for a solar development on the Sewell Well property up on Wadley Falls Road. And has some issues that I thought one should address before investing that kind of money, which was that we would be generating a ton of energy there. There's really no load, right? The only load there is the pump station, or the well, rather. And then, so everything that would be generated would be, or 90% of it that would be generated, over 90% would have been excess energy that would have been sold through Eversource and moved, through the grid, and then we would derive a monetary benefit. And which the monetary benefit is fairly low. It's much less than you have to expend in order to purchase the energy directly. So that we would be essentially subsidizing Eversource to sell us electricity. At least that's the way it kind of presented itself to me. And so, but I do, I'm very much in favor of and want to see the town invest in solar. There are other options too, but in solar generating capacity. And so I thought, where's their existing standing load that would be that's fairly large? When deploy solar generating capacity on land that is already kind of in use, that's already sealed, like a parking lot, for example, or a roof. So we don't develop more land unnecessarily. We kind of double up or triple up in use. And so the idea that I ran by Scott, because Scott is my engineering friend on the town council, and by Joe, because Joe is on the Energy and Environment Committee, is to think about town and possibly the school together, forming essentially a we don't have to go through the structure, but the idea is to create solar, to deploy solar on school or recreation department property, thinking about the recreation department and the schools and the police station as possible takers and users of that energy, by connecting them through a microgrid. All of those properties essentially abut, so the land is already town or publicly owned, school owned or town owned, and that's the kind of the idea that we would like to bring to the committee to see if that is something that you would want to sink your teeth into and explore further and develop an approach to. Maybe reach out to the school to see if there is, I was hoping that the school district would be able to participate here today as well, but either case. And one of the options, of course, is a solar canopy over the parking lots, especially the school parking lots. But there is a sizable parking space at the recreation building as well. Not that big, but it's not to be underestimated. There's a lot of pavement there. So, and I think the match between the school and the recreation department is pretty good too, because the recreation really, runs hot and high in the summer when the schools are down, so that, it would even out the load pretty well. And in the summer, of course, there would be more energy generated anyways. The advantage of a canopy deployment, I don't know if you're all familiar with those, but it's essentially you could call it a long carport over a row of a parking lot with solar panels on top. So you have a kind of a protective effect to the parking lot. You have a cooling effect there as well. The parking lot wouldn't absorb so much heat and store it and give it off, so the heat island effect would be somewhat mitigated possibly. And you also have of course, a drier lot when it's raining or when it's snowing, and you would be generating electricity right there, and you're not sealing more land in order to do so. So that's kind of why I think that might be one way to go, since the roofs of the school buildings apparently are not able to take solar panels because of the way they're constructed. At least that's my understanding. That's certainly something that we should explore and confirm. There is a canopy that has been installed at the Oyster River Middle School when that school was newly built. I don't know how many of you have been there and have seen it. It's a good version of one. I've seen others that are not quite as successful, that are where the rain runs off right into the driving lane. It's just so you can do it poorly too. But that is I think a really good one, and is worth taking a look at. And I guess the committee has an opportunity to do so next week. And that kind of throws out the idea, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I'd just like to re-emphasize Joe's point that we were frustrated by that original proposal. Both of us were hard-nosed on that proposal, and we didn't want to be hard-nosed. So we talked to Joe, what's possible. He invited us to a technical conference where we got a little more information about it. And we are here saying we as town council, I think all three of us as town council, we want to promote solar. We're looking for you guys to bring us a project. But we have some kind of requirements. And one of the requirements is we want to use the electricity that's being generated. We want it behind the meter, so that we're taking full advantage of the energy that's being generated. Now, one of the problems with that is, in the summertime, you're generating electricity at like 6 in the morning, and you're still generating it at 8 at night, and so you need a load that can absorb that, right? So that gives you a lot of restrictions, right, on where you can use it. And so, but I think, so we proposed this school opportunity because we didn't want to just come up and say no. So we said, well, here's a potential school opportunity. But, Lindsay said, what about the power plant, the wastewater treatment center, anything like that can use it, over any period of time. Our initial, from the conference, I did some initial calculations, and it looks like you can easily get to 10 or 12 cents per kilowatt hour with an array like that. I'm currently paying about 25 cents at my house, so that's a significant savings. And it looks like from estimates, you get about 5 times the return. So if you bought a $100,000 array, after 20 years, you've saved $500,000. So that's pretty compelling.
Before we go any further, we do have a guest here from Clean Energy. I'd just like to have you introduce yourself and And then if I can just kind of like throw out a couple of things to get us going here.
I also want to add some clarification to the discussion that was presented to council, just to go back to that. The proposal that is referenced, to give some context.
Yeah, let's have introduction and then we'll jump into it.
So my name is Katrin Casper. I am your energy circuit rider. I work with all the towns in Rockingham and Stratford County. I live in Lee, so I am very happy to be here in Newmarket today. I actually served on my own select board, and I am painfully aware of how vital it is that we are making really good economic choices, that we are thinking about the future for your town, and we're doing what's best for the long run, but also something that really makes sense for you right now as well. So I'm really excited. I have so many things I want to talk to you guys about, so I'll let you keep going, and then we'll work on some ideas.
Thank you. Yeah, do you want to, Lindsay?
So just because not everyone may have seen what the proposal was that was presented to the town council and that they've both referenced here. So the town staff, town manager kind of leading the charge. Joe was included in some of those preliminary discussions to look at some potential sites. The Sewell Well site was identified, and working with the Director of Environmental Services, we wanted to determine if it was actually feasible to put an array there. So the water fund, Water Capital Reserve Fund, had some money. We requested $25,000 to do a site survey, resource delineation, evaluate what kind of land, it's an open field, or a part of it is an open field. So would that land even be something we could use to put an array on? So the request was to evaluate what we could do to maximize a ground array at that site. So the proposal that went in included a visual that would have been maximizing the whole site. We invested that $25,000 to work with Revision to get that preliminary evaluation done, and determined that no, we cannot put something that big. We can't maximize the whole space. So it would have to be, primarily because it's a much larger wetland area that's within that field than was initially thought, which makes sense because it's a well site. So we probably should have been expecting that. But we wanted to invest a small amount of Water Capital Reserve funds to determine if it was even possible and should we pursue anything at that site. So that was the request. Because the proposal was showing what would it look like if we maximize the ground array, it looked a little scary because it filled up the entire field. But that is not something that is feasible or viable, and not something that would be going forward. So just to kind of give some context to that proposal, it looked a little scary at first. It's not something that would work or that the town would pursue putting in.
To confirm, under the downsized version, it is still not something the town would pursue.
The downsized version is something that could be pursued, and we have worked with Revision. We have the preliminary design for that. It would be about, I hesitate to throw out numbers, but please take it with a grain of salt. I may not be remembering exactly. $460,000 to install the array. It would be enough to generate coverage for the well site itself, and the surplus energy generated would be applied as a credit to probably the wastewater treatment facility, maybe one other facility. But it wouldn't offset all of the wastewater treatment facility, just to clarify that. So in that case, I don't remember the percentage, but it was more like 15 to 20% is what would be sent off-site, would be surplus, and the remaining 80 to 85 would be used on the site at the well site, so it would be a much smaller size, and would have a better net metering rate because of the 80% being used on the site behind the meter.
Sure.
Yeah, first of all, I'm with you guys. I do not like the idea of sending excess energy back to Eversource, selling it to them for much less than we pay for it. But I don't entirely give up on the idea of wastewater plant solar panels, because it seems to me that one possible solution is to simply have a smaller installation so that you're never going to generate more than you're using. But you are going to generate some, and that's something you're not giving any energy back to Eversource. So what do you guys think about that?
Well,
Way of looking at it.
if that's what, if it turns out that what you just said is true, that sounds viable to me.
Yep, okay.
I mean, we're not here to tell you
No, no,
what
yeah.
to do. We're not here to
Yep.
work your plan. We're just saying, we want to support something that makes,
Yes.
sense.
And secondly, I like the canopies. I have questions. I have a question about it. What do you do about snow?
In what way?
Well, it snows.
Building up
and
on
you've
the
got
panels.
Snow on top of the solar panels, and the sun doesn't get to them.
Well, ask
Well,
Scott.
the
What do
sun-
you do about snow?
My understanding is that it will melt off over, like, much
Really?
faster than it would on a typical roof,
Does
given the
not
heat.
on my roof.
No, it doesn't?
No, there are, sometimes it does,
Yeah.
but
And these,
get a heavy snowstorm is likely to be a week or two, practically no solar
yeah.
generation.
Carports are designed typically to be like, there's a very low slope, like 5% or so. I only recently
I
learned
have
this.
a
but-
ranch house, so it's very similar.
Oh, is it?
More
Okay.
slope. More
More-
slopes than
So,
carport.
yeah, I'm not sure if that would be better or worse. I would have assumed it'd be better for
More slopes better for.
more, you're saying. I'm thinking less.
Snow to slide off.
Yeah, it is.
For sure.
It is, the greater the slope, the better. If it's more
Yes.
flat, it stays covered longer.
Yeah,
Okay.
so.
But
that's-
for
that's a
irradiation,
consideration.
that's worse, right?
There's a
Wait, the-
certain sweet spot for.
Yeah, the flat would give the best sunlight where the slope.
Not necessarily,
No.
because there are times of year where the sun is lower and you want to be angled. And that's why the
okay.
articulating ones tend to be better, because then depending on when it's summer and winter, you can
You
angle
can
it that
change
way,
it.
and then you can turn them with the.
And to be clear, that's just, an idea. I mean, it may make no sense to do that at all. It may be much better to have, a motorized panel that can follow the course of the sun and change its angle so that, it can maximize, access to the sun year round. I mean, that may be the better choice. I don't know.
There's a
This is
calculation.
just, there are lots of different ways
Yeah.
to slice the cheese, I guess.
Yeah, my understanding is 10 years ago, that was absolutely the better way to go. But now solar panels are much better.
Yeah.
Operating at lower angles of sunlight.
Yeah.
But still, the snow can be a problem. There's got to be a solution to it. I'm wondering what the solution is.
Heating, I'm not sure. I mean, I think we should consult with experts and developers on that, because,
Yes.
I mean, carports exist. We're going to be touring the Oyster River site. That's a great question to ask them.
Yeah.
Is this a great time for me to jump in and start sharing information with you guys?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. So, first of all, one thing I want to tell you, we were talking about solar feasibility, and you did a study. They can be expensive. We are working with an organization called SoulSmart, where we just did a lot of, quite good, SoulSmart is just a lot of new ordinances. And they have, until the end of the year, are offering our towns free feasibility studies on any solar anywhere you would like in your community. I have a town that asked for 10 different sites. Can you just tell us the feasibility of these sites? That is a great idea, because you're just going to get information that you wouldn't be able to get easily yourself. And that means that now and then through the future, you're going to have something to look at and be like, oh, that's right, this one has this. Oh, is that still relevant? Whatever. Definitely recommend you start there. When it comes to carports, that is an incredible thing. Of course, my kids went to Oyster River, and I helped get that school to pass. So I'm very familiar with all of it. The carport, that area is incredible. It does have a very good slope. Snow, you can ask them about that when you visit, but it's typically 10 years ago or more, solar was really, really different than it is now. Things are built differently and thought out differently. Angles matter differently. But one of the things that they love the most, I'm sure they'll mention, is that they can park all the buses underneath there during a really bad storm. And I don't know if you've tried to get the snow off of a bus, but it's not fun. So they love that. Something I love as an EV driver is when I go, I can charge my car for free, because it's just coming from under the roof, and that's lovely. So one of the things that's really hard is that I know I work with a lot of people that are under 20, who just can't get an EV because they can't charge at their apartment or their condo. So that allows teachers in the school district to have an electric vehicle where they wouldn't normally be able to do that. And it's free. So that's an incredible cost savings and really keeps a teacher happy. So options there.
Not to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
the other thing I love about that is that it's very visible. Lots of people see it. The entire community sees it. It's not hidden. It's not somewhere on, over some landfill site or something like that. It's right in the community,
Yeah.
and so it has a real nice educational value too, which I think is something worth considering, especially for, kind of a first installation.
The
I
reason
know
that-
it's not the first one, but a first.
The
big
reason
one.
that we do support municipalities so much is that if your town has something and you drive by it every day, you start to see, like, that hasn't burned down, nothing crazy's happened, like, oh, look, I can see the bills and how much less we're spending, and then it's much easier for everyone else. So if we can help support a town, we're really supporting the entire community. Something to know, too, that we're working on is because the tax credits are going away, as you know, we'll talk about that in a second, too. But we're wondering how can we continue to move solar forward, and one of the things we're working on with solar companies right now is doing, getting a bunch of people in your community together to want to install solar in their homes and getting a discount, a group discount for that community, which is wonderful because then you're taking away the stress of, I don't know who to start, like, I don't want to get taken advantage of, like, I don't know how to do it, is my roof, you get all that support and help, and then you get savings. Solar right now is, it depends on which numbers you look at, between 10 and 20% less than it was a few years ago. So you add that to maybe a 10, 15, even 20% discount off of the solar, it's as if you have the tax credit. So now you can really get people to be still excited while you don't have that. So great way to keep solar moving in your town, just something to think about for the future. We can work on that. Yeah.
I think it's a community aggregators, or I forget exactly the program, but does that work when can you pair municipalities with residents? So like if we put them at the school and didn't have enough self-consumption, could we loop in local residents into that same program?
Yeah, so that would be called a community solar project.
Okay.
It's a little tricky. I know that, is it Jaffrey? Just worked really hard on a 1 megawatt community solar project and got all kinds of challenges and tied up in all kinds of legal debates. So right now, if you were to build between 1 and 5 megawatts, you could share your municipal solar that you didn't need, like let's say you did that water, the big one you were talking about, you could sell it to other municipalities. And that includes, your schools, your towns, your buildings, housing authorities, jails, whatever. So that is one easy way to do it. But to sell it to your actual residents is a little trickier, and we can go into that on another time. But right now, I would definitely suggest looking at all of your buildings and all of your places and the opportunities. If you're going to build solar above a surface, the best time to do that is when you're about to build that parking area because it is really expensive to retroactively fit all of that. So if you are looking forward and thinking, we're planning in 2 years to build a new police station or whatever, wow, great time to think about that. That's perfect. Not only are you going to get that wonderful solar opportunity, you're going to get the clean and dry, how nice to go out to your car if you're an employee or you're visiting and it's not covered in ice. That's amazing. You're also going to have that pavement, which we all know costs so much money, last a lot longer, but also your cars are going to last longer because the heat is incredible these days and the cold, and so you're keeping that temperature a little bit more regulated. So there's just so many benefits to it. It's something to think about for sure. I can't imagine a new parking lot going in anywhere and not immediately thinking, okay, how do we do this? Because it's a great way to go. There are a lot of benefits to owning. It sounds like you guys are talking about with this project, thinking of owning. A lot of other towns have gone with like a lease, and that is a smaller amount of money that you're going to get back on it. When you own it, you get a lot more. What you guys have been talking about behind the meter is so vital because that is where the biggest savings are. So I agree. It is possible if you're able to interconnect your buildings. They can be behind the meter if they're close enough. They just have to physically be close enough. In my town, we have alternating buildings are in different, like some are on the Co-op and some are on Eversource, and they don't, like, it's really funny. I don't know, do you guys have all Eversource here? How does,
yeah.
okay, that makes life so much easier, so that's great. Yeah, something really great about Eversource to think about is that right now, if you have an emergency facility or a place like a warming shelter, and you wanted to have backup generation, you can get for 50% off the cost. Eversource will pay half of it. You can buy a battery, which we were just talking, it's the sun shining and you're using your power, that's great. But if it's a building that, you're using throughout the day or the night, like the fire or police,
Yeah.
fabulous.
Because the school doesn't currently have a generator, and that's been a topic of discussion as of late.
There's a lot of issues with that.
Yeah.
If a warming center requires all kinds of other stuff, like additional restrooms and storage of food and all kinds of bed things.
That's an emergency center, so it's a little different. So Eversource is very lenient on how you use the term. They originally called it an emergency center. We said it's more like a warming, cooling, but really so we're actually in the town of Lee will be the first ones to have this battery. We're working on it right now, and it's in a library, which they're basically saying we're going to keep our doors open. If the power goes out, we'll finally be able to do that. And we're going to have a refrigerator for if people have medication that they need refrigerated. We just have they just have one bathroom. But they just have a place that you can charge your phones, that you can warm up and really share and communicate information. One of the biggest things with the types of storms we've had recently, I don't know how you guys have been, but I know in our town, even though we have a lot of entrances, exits, we actually had almost all of our roads closed where you couldn't actually get in and out. So if you need a diesel for a diesel generator or whatever, it took a while till we could get everything cleared again. So this is basically a way to tell your community, no matter what's going on, this building's going to work. So if you had to get someplace, come here, and you'll be able to get information and that kind of thing. So it's loose. Yeah. And if your school is a place where students go, it's something you can discuss. You just have to figure out how to make that emergency for students. I don't know. We can talk about the options. But the battery deal is amazing. They only have $1 million for it, so grab it while you can. It's a great deal. And like I said, we're doing it right in Lee. Come visit, and you can see how it looks.
Does that come with the stipulation that they can tap into it under a different response situation?
So for 3 years, during peak events, not near a storm. So if a storm is in any way predicted, they will not do it because you need it for backup generation. But peak events. So basically, when you have so much solar that you kind of need to get it out of your battery anyway because it's going really well during the summer, they will take that power to help take that edge off the grid. It's basically a pilot program for this exact kind of thing in the future, and they're just trying to do it. And they decided that having it be, beneficial to the community makes a lot of sense. But that's great. And here's the thing. Depending on how we do the policy, that might mean that down the road, after the 3 years, that's now your power all the time. And you might, if we can get the policy to go through to back this up, be able to sell it at the best price at peak demand time. And that's now an income producer. And that's something really rare. As you know, in a town, we're really good at spending money. We very rarely make money. So nice option for you. All right. We have so many things we were going to talk about. So let me make sure I have... you gave me such a great list. There's a lot of other things we were going to talk about. I want to know what your priorities are tonight. The idea of a microgrid came up, and I wanted to mention that with that battery, you do kind of develop an interesting microgrid. The challenge with being off the grid altogether is that you now lose access to all the benefits and also someone to come.
Yeah, this was not about being off the grid.
Oh, okay. So just having that microgrid that's...
Just being able to share
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
access, 3 load centers for
Yes.
one array or one installation.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, that you can absolutely do that. You could have it on one roof, and then any other buildings that can get that wire to those can still all be behind the meter and using that, which is great. Yeah.
Can you clarify, just to make sure everyone's engaged, based on what we're trying to accomplish, does that fall under the definition of a microgrid still, or is it technically not?
You can decide
It's
how you
kind of
want to.
semantics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's
enough.
less about being a microgrid and more about just making sure that you are behind, making as many buildings behind the meter as possible. Which that feasibility study, you could say how many of these could potentially be behind the meter. What would it cost to get those wires to work that way? So that's a great. And then we were talking. There was some talk about EV chargers. Is that something you guys are interested in still?
I would vote for that personally,
Okay.
especially given your story with the Oyster River School.
Yeah.
And I think Newmarket already has 3 free chargers, which is amazing. But
that's
more,
great.
especially if you have abundant solar
Yeah.
production, would be fantastic.
Yeah, that's incredible, and it makes such a difference. You have a community that's filled with apartments and condos, and so what a great opportunity to make that. So, and it doesn't have to be, not everything has to be free. Like, you can definitely make it. There are companies that will actually, if you just say, here, here's a parking spot. If you would like to put in, do all the work and pay all the money, like, and then you can get the benefit, great. That's an option. You don't have control over the pricing, but you can, discuss what those options are. We're still waiting on some funding opportunities. We've heard that the VW funding, which I'll also talk about in another way in a second, but the VW litigation brought a lot of funding to us, and currently is not available for charging, but it's supposed to be changing because there's so much money, it's not all getting used, to start covering charging. So a great thing for this group to do would be to identify where are some charging places we'd like. Is there, do we want to have a level 3, level 1? What levels do we want to, do? And then see what kind of funding there is for that. As an EV driver, I'll tell you that if you have level 3 charging and I can charge in 20 minutes, I will absolutely come and shop in your town, whatever that is. And I've been to some real random places to make sure I can charge. So that's nice. But level 2 is fabulous too. So definitely look into what options those choices are. And there's also some other like grants from businesses and stuff that I can tell you about. T-Mobile has a good grant right now, $50,000 for a community. There's lots of other ways you can pay for some of these things.
Is that grant specifically for EV chargers? The T-Mobile one,
It's
or
communities, and so EV chargers are one that really fits in the
something
definition.
that qualifies.
Yeah.
So it's not only for that?
Correct. So if
Okay.
you had, let's say you had like a building you wanted to do some stuff to, this is one of those rare chances. I don't know how, I haven't figured out how many they have, but it's a great opportunity to write a grant. And what I'm finding is that you never know when the next pool of money is going to come. Mm-hmm. So if you've written a grant and maybe you didn't win it, but then the next year all of a sudden there's something and you can grab that grant and be like, here, we have almost all the work done. Now you can go for it. That's really an excellent choice. So something to think about. We can talk about some of the funding sources. Absolutely.
And you mentioned the VW money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is the Granite State Clean Fleets, is that part of that from the VW money?
Yes.
That is?
So
Okay.
there's 2 options right now. Essentially, if you have any vehicle besides like a car, the cars aren't really covered, but anything truck up or even small work vehicles, and I know we have like skid steers and things like that for loaders. This is the time to apply for grants. They are on a rolling basis, and they're amazing. So the town of Lee got 2 dump trucks, snowplow trucks, dump trucks, for 20% of the cost of both of them. These are beautiful, brand new, all fully spec'd out, like everything we needed for them, and we paid this tiny, tiny bit, and so that's amazing. You can do that. So if you have any buses that you would like to make electric, amazing. You'd only pay 10% of the cost of that. If you have anything that's a 2009 or older, that's a on-road vehicle, this is the time. Up to 1990, I'm trying to remember the dates, 93 or 92. So it's not like, it does have a cutoff, how old. But that is a sweet spot. I bet you have something in your trucks or in your garages somewhere that might fit that. And that's 80% to go from diesel to diesel. That is to reduce the use of the diesel and the pollution. But if you go from diesel to electric, now you're only paying 10% of the cost of that, which is, I don't know when we're going to have that option again. So if you're thinking, we've been really thinking this would be this is it. Like right now, let's do it. It's amazing. If you need to, so different towns do things differently. We set aside a large amount in where you put money away and you.
Capital Reserve.
Thank you, Capital Reserve. My brain. So we could just need to have someone be the agency to spend. So if we won the grant, we could easily just take that money. If you don't have that and you need to wait until town meeting, that's fine. You just put that in the grant and let them know, like that'll happen.
We actually are taking advantage of that grant to
You are?
replace our Vector truck.
Amazing.
And we we did get selected for funding, so we
Beautiful.
have.
I think I knew that and I apologize.
That's okay.
What else you got?
There are plenty of other things. That
Good.
was a big one.
Yeah,
and a
good.
very large piece of equipment. There's definitely no electric options for
Yeah,
something
exactly,
like that.
exactly.
But it was due for replacement in a year or two.
Yeah.
So I submitted the application and we did
amazing.
get selected for that one. So we are taking advantage of that
Perfect,
for that.
I knew that and I
Use of
totally
that
forgot.
funds.
Apologize. But yeah, look around, see what else
But
you have.
I'm sure
Yeah.
we could find
Yeah.
some other things.
It's the
that could
time.
Qualify too.
Is school buses town-owned, or is that
No,
school district?
that's contracted per student.
Oh, really? So we don't have control over those?
But
That's a bummer.
the rec department we own, the rec department owns their little
The
van, right?
Yep, the little van.
At some point in time, might that be?
Yeah, just
Oh,
check into
they're always
it.
looking for another one too, right?
I can ask Amy about that.
Yeah, let me know what the models are and what you're looking to replace it with, and I can definitely do the work to
Public
figure it
works
out.
trucks, pickup trucks could work too.
They have to be over a certain size, class 4, is it class 4? I can get you that information. It has to be kind of a bigger one, like your F-150s on
Yeah. We certainly do have several
You have some big
plows
ones?
and dump trucks. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if there are any that are coming up for replacement, but we can.
Well, here's the thing, if it's
We
in
can
the
look
next
into
5
it.
to 10
Yeah,
years, I mean,
it
the time
counts.
is now. So, absolutely let me know. And I've gone through, people have just sent me a list of their trucks and they just let me go through and I'll just figure out which
Okay, I
ones
will
could
do
be
that then.
eligible. Yeah, it's just easier. And then
Yeah.
once I figure that out, then we can go through and I can ask you some more questions.
Okay.
It's worth it. And, once you've won an award, you're a little less likely because they're trying to make sure everyone gets a chance, but it's absolutely worth it.
Well, at
to
least
go
we'll get the
forward.
big one.
Yeah, and if you've won for the on the road, then it's a great time to look for the littler things that can turn into EVs. So if you have some of the little, I don't know what you guys have here, but the little workhorses, the skid steers, the little.
Yeah, we do have a couple
Yeah.
skid steers, sidewalk.
Oh yeah, sidewalk would be great.
Yeah, okay.
So we can talk about that. So that's another thing we can help you with. And those are really good because they're right now the solar feasibility. That's until December 31st. They don't know if there's going to be any funding after that. When the money's gone, the money's gone. So let's grab that fast. Somebody asked a question in the notes that are we too late on the tax incentives? And no, you are not too late, but you are getting really close. So if you had a building that you're like, yeah, you know what, we've talked about this a million times, we know we want to do it, this would be a great time to say, hey, let's get started. You might not be able to get construction underway right now, but with safe harbor rules, the under a megawatt, 1.5 megawatts, arrays can be safe harbored. It's a lot more paperwork after December 31st if it's not been built by then, but you can still get that tax incentive. If it's a 1 to 5 megawatt, you would have to actually have broken ground and start construction by July 4th. Now, that's possible. It's a little tricky, but it's possible. We can work it. Let me know. But you'd have to really want to get going. And I know we had some really great funding on water pumps. I think I connected you with somebody about water treatment facilities and the deals.
You may have.
But I don't know if that's still, so if it's already kind of a done topic for you guys, that's totally fine. But if you have something, smaller, if you could
He's
get
always
started.
replacing pumps, and that's one of our biggest users is the water department.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, all the 4 of the wells are all new, so all the equipment in there is only 2 or 3 years old. But on the wastewater side.
yeah, we've done a lot of wastewater work. I know Exeter just did that big array. There's a bunch of towns around that have done solar for their wastewater treatment, and there's additional tax rebates. So something to think about.
Yeah.
So some of the stuff you'd have to be pretty nimble on. Can you get, the hard part is if it has to wait till town meeting, you just have to have some kind of the council sign in good faith, because these solar installers are buying a ton of panels to get the safe harbor in and to get things ready. And they just want to know, are we going to be able to get them all homes? So lots you can do quickly there. Another thing I just want to mention, I don't know if anyone was on the call today about CPACER. That's something we're working on, which is something that you can change in your, it's a law that is going through, and I'm going to get all tangled up talking about it. But basically it helps your business developers and people that are building commercial facilities, homes for families, 5 or more units, to get additional access to loans. I think it's a third of the value of the property. It's a really nice way to get them to add energy efficiency to a building. We can talk about it more as it goes on. We just did a whole hour-long seminar on it. Excuse me. But it would be great to think about that for this community, because you do have a lot of buildings going in, and it would be nice to make sure that they are all as energy efficient as possible. I have a tickle. Sorry. Don't know where that came from. Anyway, so that's another thing I wanted to mention. What else? I feel like you had another great question.
I've got 2 things I'd like to follow up on.
Yeah, please.
So, I like the idea of maybe some kind of a survey or campaign across the town saying, hey, are you interested in putting solar on your rooftop? And if so, contact Lindsay so that, she can coordinate. I don't know, can we talk about that a little bit? Maybe some kind of a coordinated campaign to see what the interest might be for rooftop solar?
We're going to be organizing that as a cohort, the same way we just did the 35 towns work together on solar ordinances. And so you would have a ton of support. We're trying to look into, there are certain apps you can use, there's things we can do to really make that as easy, because it's a big lift.
Well, I don't think about ordinances or whatever, but I'm thinking about
No.
if we can get a bunch of people in town that, I'm interested in
Correct.
putting it on my roof. I don't know who's
Right.
a reputable installer. If we say, we have a reputable installer, plus, we can get a group discount
Right.
type of thing.
So I'm not saying an ordinance. I'm just saying that was the first time we had done a large cohort where we just picked a topic and then we made it as easy as possible for as many communities as possible. This has been my suggestion for the next cohort. Let's do exactly what you're saying. But we're going to do a lot of the legwork for you. Can we find out the easiest way to do that? Can we get a bunch of different solar installers to bid so you can get the best bids and know what you're looking at? Can we vet them for you? We're going to try to help as much as we can with that process.
So I think we stay plugged into that process.
Yeah.
And follow along and use that opportunity.
It'll be in late winter, early spring that we're going to roll that out. Yep. And I would definitely suggest that the energy committee makes that, if that is something you work together, and make that really a priority for that time period.
How do we go about that? I mean, how do we follow up on that? Is that something that you would undertake, or this
Well,
committee?
could be the lead.
Working through the cohort, yeah, I could be the lead and
Oh, you're already
contact
part of the
for that.
cohort.
Well, that cohort hasn't happened, but I was part of the Soul Smart
Yep.
ordinance cohort that she was talking about that we did
Yeah.
before. Bart and I kind of tag team participated in that. So if this is coming up again, we can make sure that we're both plugged into that to
Yep.
do it again.
Okay, all right, so that the cohort before you were just on the ordinances part of it, right? Is that
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
And now we'll have a new
Now it's
cohort.
going another
Yeah.
first step. Okay, cool, all right.
Yeah. And so we're excited about that, because we really are trying to figure out how do we keep solar moving. And also, we don't want all of our solar companies to struggle in the next few months, the next few years. So this is a way we can really continue keeping everyone working.
The other thing is, okay, if I can throw this up. When these guys first approached me, they were saying, we want to, support solar, but we want it used in town, we want to develop it in town, we want to use it in town. And they were talking about microgrids, connecting different buildings, whatever. I have an idea, or right next to the rec department is this parcel of land, right next to the rec building.
Oh, wow.
Here's the rec building, that's the field, there's this, I believe it's HUD property, but
It is.
can we utilize that? What if we were to do the carport parking lot there? Yeah, during the games that we park there.
Well, if it's feasible.
I can tell you, just as a point, when they have those, what is that big thing you have in the summer where everybody comes?
Backyard bash?
Backyard bash. They have to get permission from HUD to allow parking on that spot. They have to Mamie has to get written permission to allow that.
So it's not like there's...
Games and stuff, we was always parking there, because games are,
Yeah.
well, anyway.
Might that be something that we could take a look at for a carport? You've got the rec department right there that could use the solar. You've got the police station down the street and Sunrise Center there too. So you've got the school. I don't know. I think there'd be a lot of.
I feel like those entities should be, I know they're not fully town entities, but they should be engaged as part of that cohort.
You guys
possibly.
could send a map out to each other and let everyone circle the areas that you're just curious about and you're interested, and then just get the, I can send you the information of what you need, the address, the, power usage, that kind of thing, and they can get started.
I think it's worth talking to the school. I mean, just to say the school's going to be too hard to deal with and just never even talk to them. I mean, the worst that happens is they say no, right?
And a lot of communities have found that they asked maybe 10 years ago if something was feasible, and everyone's like, no, because you had to be south-facing, it had to be a certain slope. The rules are so different now. So if someone has learned something and it's not recent, definitely double check again.
Yeah, no, all we're talking about is literally like 1,000 feet or 800 feet up from that screen is the high school.
Oh, perfect. Oh, so you mean having it so that it's
they have
connected in?
they have
It's
a
right
back
there.
connection.
Yeah,
That's what it
Yeah.
is.
High school there.
yeah.
And then there's actually a parking lot now. I don't know what it used to be, but Google Maps isn't updated. But
And
if you
there's
bring
a-
that, like, bring the northern
There's a
section-
contaminated stream in between.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
That whole area across the street from the
Oh.
is all a parking lot now and
Yes.
field.
Mm.
That I don't know what it's being used for or who owns it, but it could be. That's like
parking lot across from the high school?
No, I mean
Yeah.
the field behind the parking
no,
lot.
actually both. But that's where I was envisioning a carport being a good like placement. But
Yeah.
I think a carport there would be amazing because that's where the buses park.
yeah, I mean, although we have diesel buses, unfortunately, but like I guess you still get the benefit of the snow. Yeah.
Right.
You can also talk to whoever you get your diesel buses with and let them know about the funding, because they are also eligible for this funding, and they may not realize that it's there and how easy it is. So another thing you can do.
For a student, you said.
Yeah.
But alternatively, HUD may have money for solar, and HUD may, it wouldn't be hard to send a wire over to those houses.
They had already put solar panels on the houses. Behind,
Yeah, there's a ton on the. Yes.
the housing development back
It's
here.
already got it? Yeah, okay.
Had already, they
Yeah,
already
they
got
put it
now.
wherever they could.
Yeah.
$200,000 for solar panels.
And they own this vacant property that's next to it?
They own the rec center.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they own the building and the land.
Yeah. Oh.
And the high school owns the fields.
But this vacant spot that we were talking about in the solar report, that is
This one here.
HUD as well?
Yes, that's part of HUD's parcel.
Because there are other options, like they could lease the land to us to
Yep.
put solar on it, which would be a great
It
income for
makes
them.
money, right?
So there's,
Options.
yeah. Especially if it's unutilized.
So you're either in the work really, really fast and get it done right away, or you've got some time, really look into it, and in a few years you might find that there's some funding again. So,
I think right now federal funding for solar is few and far between.
well, you just have to have already really been
Yeah.
deeply in it, which I'm working with those communities, and we're working feverishly to get these to be done in time. So.
So I guess, what are we doing?
What are we doing? Well,
What do we do next?
I wanted to say thank you, well, first of all, for everyone being here, but thank you for bringing this idea. I think like this is exactly what I'm excited about as a committee member for energy and having members of town council on board with this idea is like incredible to me. So very excited about that. And I think like we're the advisory committee. So like how do we help town council is really the question in my mind.
Well,
Doing the submitting through you guys to get some initial funding of doing that free assessment, I guess.
So smart.
Feasibility studies would help us have the information to say, okay, they say this is feasible, these are our priorities, these are feasibility, cross those, and then we can then kind of start giving direction on. I think getting all those entities together online with us is going to take a little bit of challenge to get everybody on board, but if we give them this is a feasible place, we've already done the legwork, you just kind of have to say, yes, I would like to save money, I think that's where our role is.
Yeah, the only issue, the rec center, I don't know if they can use all the electricity, like, but a study could look.
I feel like a feasibility study would tell us that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do have the information on the rec center usage, so it'll be easy to check.
Yeah. I thought the school would have some base load for the refrigerators in the kitchen and, some just, motors and stuff running around, air circulation fans or whatever, that even if it maybe wasn't megawatts, it might be a good base load to have to just suck up the power.
Some things to think about too, in your buildings as they're getting older and you're thinking, I can see you already have some heat pumps. Think about, are there places where you can add, like be ready for those as you're upgrading, and also geothermal, things like that. So that when you're thinking about the load, make sure you're thinking, might there be an additional load coming, so we're ready for that. The best thing I will tell you, as I think that you're new to the chair, the thing that works best in towns is, first of all, town council is really good at saying yes or no to proposals, to ideas, but it's also really important that they're brought along the journey so that they understand why you're making the choices you are, and they can help say, this is the direction we want to also look. So great to have somebody go to the town council meeting sometimes, or have somebody from the town council come here. So you're communicating, the committees that communicate with the board or the council do so much better, and they really thrive, and they can get jobs done really quickly, and everyone's on the same page, so that's really important.
What's the timing working on getting those?
Feasibility studies?
Feasibility studies.
Yeah, I'm glad it's not just me, I get stuck with words.
Feasibility studies, so is that, because we have our meetings once a month,
Yes. So the sooner the better. You can't make major decisions as a group, but you could send a map, people could circle it, you could, if you have a question, ask them about it or whatever, and you could get that map to them, because it doesn't cost you anything, you're not investing, it's not a major decision, you're asking, can you look at these properties? So that's something you can do right away.
Does it have to be a map, or can it be a list?
Okay, it
Because
can be
we
a
have
list.
a municipal
Perfect.
parcel list
That's
that we
perfect.
went through. Okay, so.
Yeah, whatever you have,
If I could just
what they need
send
is the
that?
address, yeah, the
Okay.
address, remind me did I send that to you? I don't know if I did yet,
I think you did.
Okay, so just so you can check off those
Okay.
things.
It would be great if we could connect with the school district and have
Yes.
them add to that list so that it can all be done at the same
It's
time.
a great
Because
idea.
I don't have them in that list currently.
Yeah. And if you have, other government properties, if HUD would like to know, if they own that and they'd like to, or somebody else, if you have something else that's not maybe municipal or school, but it's also, include them.
For some of our input of like, hey, because I feel like most of us have a decent idea and have already articulated the kind of heavy hitters there.
Yeah, I think, so we went fairly broad with it when we reviewed the list initially a couple of years ago, because there had been some various sites that were discussed. One was the transfer station, landfill. Is that an option? As we discussed any of them with our net zero advisor or with Revision or any other solar developer, I put them in the list and included the average usage that we have based on electricity bills for the last 2 years, and some basic criteria and statistics. I could pull it up if you guys want to see, but it evaluated, like, do we own the property? Does the town own the property, or is it privately owned? Do we have a building on site that uses energy or not? Like the Wilson Farm? No, we do not. That's out. Then, is three-phase power available already at the site? And that helped us categorize and prioritize which properties we were looking at. That's how we got to the well sites. So we have that list that
Awesome.
is broad and fairly comprehensive on municipal-owned properties, with the exception of the schools, because I didn't have their information in there. So we could just go with that for a starting point.
I mean, there's nothing
Yeah,
that you
it's
guys
perfect.
flagged that I don't feel like has already been kind of flagged that way, so I feel like just time is of the essence, get that to
Pass
them
it
and-
along and
Yeah,
go from
the
there.
sooner you get in the queue, the better, because,
Okay.
again, it's December 31st, and who knows where the funding's going to go, so that's perfect. You
Okay.
guys are ahead of so many, it's awesome to see how well organized you are and how you're just always moving forward. It's lovely. So, Yay. Yeah, she's pretty awesome. Do you guys have any other questions about any energy projects I can help you with? You know, it's really fun, because I work with all the different towns, there's just really fun things you can think about that sometimes, you know, when you get to the point, like you've got big projects right now, I always say have 3 things you're working at all times, and like a town like Exeter is like, well, so what do we, I don't know what else to do. So they have been working on getting their entire rec department on electric machinery, and they have robots that work at night to mow the lawn, so they're not wasting any time on the field and they're not bothering anyone. I think that's really cool. Portsmouth has just put in some EV bike chargers. Kind of cool, something, you know, you might not think about. They have one of their library vehicles is an EV. It goes to like residents' homes and brings the books to them, which is really interesting. So yeah, there are really cool ideas out there. I think you guys have a big chunk of real like good work to work on right now, but absolutely happy to share inspirational different things that you might think about.
Do you guys work on other energy sources as well besides solar?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll work on anything. At Town of Portsmouth, we've talked about wind. It's not a wind-friendly time right now, but they would love to have wind out at their water facility. It's a perfect location for that. It would be lovely. We work on wood, like pellet heat, and you know, whatever people want to work on. My goal is to just do the best I can to get everything. Again, like if it's diesel, would I rather it's an EV? Sure, but like if that's going to reduce the emissions.
We have a nuclear engineer right here.
I mean,
build a nuclear power plant.
Those are expensive to maintain.
there are, yeah. I used to live in Hampton. I'm pretty familiar with the risk in that. But it is actually really lovely that we, as the state of New Hampshire, do get a lot of our energy from a renewable resource like that. Yeah, like it's and I feel like it. You know, it's a hot topic.
Yeah.
We'll help you with whatever we can.
Yeah, I know we've talked about, I don't know if it was in this committee, but we've talked about like the dam at the river too, because people have thrown away if that's even something.
Yeah.
I kind of discounted it just because I know that that's a lot of maintenance and work.
Yeah.
And it has its own kind of baggage with dams in general, damming rivers. But
Don't you know a lot about?
Oh,
No? Hydro? No? Okay. All right. All right. So yeah, so I do feel like right now our communities are more excited about removing dams than they are about, yeah. Durham has been through a lot. Yeah. So, but you have ideas, let's talk about them. I'm going to find you an expert. If I don't know anything about it, I will go find someone. And sometimes a lot of the things that we do come from these committees having a great idea. Somebody listened to a podcast, somebody learned something, somebody knows somebody, and like I can learn from you as well and bring it to communities. That's what a circuit rider does. So I'm here to share with you and take back what I learned from you. So please, I have more cards here. I can pass them around the table if you want. Contact me anytime. I am your circuit rider. I would love to answer your questions. I am never annoyed. I love hearing from you. There's no dumb questions. Like, just let me know what I can help with. Yeah, absolutely.
And expertise.
Do you want me to stay? Do you want me to hang out?
I think it's up to you. Yeah,
Okay.
I feel obligated to. We really are just going to get into a few other like small topics, but we're at 8, and I typically try to keep it to an hour. But
I can hang if you've got something I can help with. That's fine.
the only other energy-related one, I guess, is Oyster River, the tour. We were just going to announce that again, that we're hoping to, well, we're planning to next week. So if you have advice or suggestions or questions,
I will
we should
make one
definitely.
caveat for you. Oyster River has been a very challenging project because of the timing that we did it. It was under a PPA. So they have not actually gotten to start seeing the big savings that come from solar. They're a little grumpy about it. We've tried to explain it all. It's been frustrating. When it happened, it was during the pandemic, and so rates were wild, and so they locked into a higher rate. So they're actually, even though they have solar, sometimes they pay more for power than if they didn't have solar. And that's why PPA is something that, unless you absolutely have to, like that was beneficial in some ways when we couldn't get the tax credit, but now with the tax credit, that didn't make sense. I would definitely recommend something different in the future. Yeah.
Financing was going to be a question I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
So, actually, I was going to talk about tonight, maybe at our next session, I was going to have somebody to give a presentation on group net metering, just to educate the committee about what group net metering is and how we might be able to, if you want to pursue anything with that.
Yeah. There's a lot there. Just so you guys know, we have a resource that we have been creating over the past year that's now live, which is on our webpage, which there's a QR code on the back of your cards, and that will get you to the webpage. And it actually, we have pages. So there's entire pages about what is group net metering, how does it work. There's pages on how do you do the clean diesel. Like there's everything you need. So just please feel free to use those resources at any time. That's helpful.
I have used them, they're helpful.
Oh, yay. Thank you. I love that. Perfect. But yeah, so Oyster River will have a little bit like some it's an amazing story. Once they buy that, their solar, they're going to be so happy. Oh, thank you.
So, I mean, it sounds like, so avoid PPAs if you can. Self-funding is probably the best, owning and operating. Is that, like, what have you seen among communities that, where funding is, I mean, presumably limited for every community? Is it issuing bonds? I think, Scott, you had mentioned that, but I'm admittedly very unfamiliar with.
Yeah, so
that aspect.
as a municipality, you are so lucky to have access at a really nice interest rate to funding. You have a community that can do that. You can, a lot of times if you look at it, the savings you get from the solar will pay for the bonds. So, you're paying for a few years and then you're just, making money after. So I would definitely recommend looking into that. Absolutely owning 100% best thing you can do. And then what I would, even during PPA times, I would suggest lease as your second option, because if you're going to give away the best years of the life of that solar array, where like the most money is made, and then they were getting the tax credits, and then you didn't. So that was really a big bummer. But yeah, a lease is an option. Something to think about is if you have municipal land and you'd like to just make some money on it, you can always have a company, lease it, for the 1 to 5 megawatts, and they can actually sell the power to other municipalities. So some municipalities are never going to build solar. Some of them are just not interested, but they like the idea of the savings, which they can just sign up to buy to get the benefit of using the power. It's complicated, but you can make money that way. So that is an option. You don't have to use that power yourself. You can just make it as a moneymaker. The reason that I like the idea of that is that we are the second most forested state in the country. We have over 80% of our land is forested. What we desperately need in New Hampshire is the earlier succession, the meadows and fields, because our habitat is really limited. And my daughter was passionate about New England cottontail, love that. So we do actually need that kind of space, and these solar arrays are amazing. I just worked on a big project in Farmington where it's 20 megawatts with a corporation, and they, as part of the contract, said you have to plant wildflowers, native, and they can only be mowed twice a year after breeding season and before the whatever, when the bugs go in the leaves.
Hibernation.
Thank you. And so you're adding a really valuable habitat. It's not just we put some solar out and now the forest is gone and isn't that sad, we did something terrible. Like Edge is the most filled with species habitat there is anywhere. So there are some real benefits and things you can think about. And if you're getting a lease payment and a pay in lieu of and that stuff for a piece of property, so you're maintaining great habitat, that's not a bad thing. So something to think about.
I mean, that sounds like what the Sewell property
Yeah.
should, in theory, be.
Yeah.
And we're just making money on the land.
Yeah.
I definitely think the conservation angle plays very well with this community. We do a lot of work on conservation land in general, so I think that is a strong desire among our residents. So
I'm in a group where I work with PrEP and UNH Sustainability and New Hampshire Fish and Game, and we're always trying to think, how do we work together more? How do we make sure we're really supporting each other's work? And we actually just decided to have set up a meeting to really discuss how do we build these arrays in a way that is the most beneficial, so that we're really doing more than, because like you said, why not have the school also be an array and also be make it multi-layered? So that's a lot of that to come.
You said a few times, you referenced the 1 to 5 megawatt
Yes.
range. If it's below that, does it not qualify for some of these
So
not necessarily
there's
incentives.
like boxes and packages based on what is decided in Concord.
Mhm.
So arbitrarily, under 1 megawatt has different benefits. Has different rules it has to follow. Typically, most municipal projects are like 100 kilowatts or less. That's a different set of rules. 1 to 5 is the area that can be made that it has to go to municipalities, and they have to offtake it, and that's how you can make a big array. If you wanted to make a big utility scale array, those are like 20 megawatts. Those are the big ones. That's a different, and that's not something.
Not New Hampshire's appetite right
Well,
now. Right?
we do, yeah, we do. I mean, Unitil just did one in Kingston, and we have this one in Farmington is going up, and they are starting to come along. But anything, and then like if you look, I helped with Bow, they put in a 6.2 megawatt, but it's because it's on different properties, so this property is 5 megawatts, and then we did some other things, and it's a package lease deal, so.
Yeah, that 5 megawatts is like the threshold. The Unitil array is 4.9.
Yeah, you always see them come in.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's municipal and it's up, yeah.
So
There's
would
just
it,
different rules.
I guess a better way to ask my question is, would a developer like Revision or whomever be interested in less than 1 megawatt if it's between 100 kilowatts and a megawatt, basically? Or is that-
There is a solar installer for any project.
Yeah.
You can say, I want to I don't know, make my street light solar. There's a guy for that. There's a person for you need any size. We will find you the match, and hopefully 3 at least to give you bids on whatever that project is. And there's just going to be different rules around it, and how much you can make is different. So that if you want to look for where is the biggest bang for my buck, it's behind the meter. You own it. You use it at that time. That's the best way to go.
Okay. Thank you. Any other points or thoughts on this topic?
I think the rec center looks good. I mean, the rec center has that splash pad, and you're going to generate a lot more power in the summer than in the winter. And the splash pad probably has some pretty good motors in it, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, and you're heating water. That's expensive.
Mm-hmm. They don't use the water, do they?
I don't know.
I don't know that it's cold.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe they
See
could.
Joe splashing around in there.
I've seen
But
kids go all over
They are
it.
running the pumps and the filters.
Well, if you pump water, you heat it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I think of bathwater.
yeah, I guess it's not. Little kids are resilient, I guess.
They swim in the ocean. That thing's frigid.
So if I understand what's going to happen next week, you've got a spreadsheet of different areas, whatever.
Yeah, we're gonna pursue that feasibility study for the parcels. I'm gonna coordinate with Katrin to share our fleet vehicle list so that we can review and see if there are any other vehicles that we could take advantage of. The VW grant funding for, we'll talk with First Student just to make sure that they're also aware of that piece of it. I think those were the things.
You guys have done all your lighting, right? Your street lights and your.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
We have.
Perfect.
And then I'll stay plugged in for the cohort coming up to
Yeah.
do the community
We'd love to work with you on that.
thing.
What's the eligibility criteria as far as who can apply? Is that any municipality, any public institution? Is that
It's
is it for public
municipalities and
benefit?
businesses, and there's a lot of options.
Hmm.
So like First Student, I think they could, as a business, apply. I'm sure it's possible that they've looked into it, or that, I don't know.
They
But
may.
it's
I don't know,
worth,
but I'll
it's worth
mention
saying
to our
we would
contact.
value that, and we would be
Yeah.
willing to discuss how to charge them. If that's something that they're not able to think about, you could actually help with figuring out the charging, whatever. There's
Yeah,
just,
if we put the carports there, that may be the tipping point for them to reconsider doing it.
exactly, because that's the biggest thing. That's a huge investment in how are they going to do that. But if you're like, hey, the bus is here all day,
Do you
Charge
know
it.
please for buses, or you can get it?
yeah, it's going to need more power than I haven't done a bus charger system. I know it's more complicated, more like a level 3, but it's not going to be that.
It's probably higher amperage just to get to
Yeah.
the charging rate you would need
Yeah.
for such a big battery, I imagine.
Yeah, and the other thing is that a lot of people are excited about directional
Yeah.
charging,
Yeah,
because
okay.
that's amazing. Now you have a movable backup generator.
Massive battery.
Yeah, that you can fix any, like your hospital's down, your whatever, like yeah, that's incredible. So, something to think about.
Our buses are lease or it's a contract, I assume?
Contract, yeah.
It's a contract, yeah.
And would the town ever consider, especially if the cost of a new bus is only 10% of what it normally would be, like breaking the contract and owning the buses? Or is that
I don't know.
far-fetched?
That's probably
I
something
assume they
to,
also contract the drivers.
They do,
Yeah,
yes.
so it's a whole thing.
and insurance and all of that kind of stuff, so.
That would be a really big.
We own, and it's a big challenge.
So this contract sounds like a good.
We are always hiring bus drivers, that's for sure.
Worth floating to the superintendent
Yeah.
of schools and see if they've considered that. Yeah.
I don't know how many buses the school has or needs.
I think there are 4 buses in use for Newmarket schools.
Yeah, if you could buy a couple of used ones and then get a couple at 90%, at 10% the cost. Something to think
I'm
about.
gonna sit there for most of the day, so it is basically just a battery. Lindsay, you have a lot on your plate, I think. Is there, how can the committee members help you and help this?
That's a good
move
question.
along?
That is a good question. Well, I think for those few things that I listed are kind of me sending you info that
To
we
get
already
started.
have.
Yep.
So then I think once we have opportunity to kind of coordinate on that, then we come back and talk about maybe the feasibility study will help us prioritize what types of projects we're gonna look into, and that'll be where then we have more things to talk about, and then more deciding on the path.
And if you try to help
Things that
your
you can help.
community members get solar, that's a big lift, and every single person's going to need to be ready to participate and help and get the word out and talk to their neighbors, things like that.
I think it might also be helpful to consider for the committee to engage with the school board directly and have a conversation about what's going on here and kind of bringing them along, like you suggested, bringing people along. And, this is a conversation that we're having, this is something that we're interested in pursuing.
I'm happy to go to a school board meeting with you at any
Right.
time. If you're like, here, I'd love to discuss energy needs, like all of them with you, and then see what you guys could support them in, that's also an option.
Yeah, I think that might be a good way to start to develop a more town-wide approach, rather than always thinking town here, school here, because after all that money comes from one
Same
pocket in the end, mine.
There's definitely a trend. Reaching out and then offering to go to a committee meeting, that might be for them a
Yeah.
better option. It's a good
Yes.
idea.
You're saying reach out to the school board and offer to attend one of their meetings?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Because
what I meant.
ultimately,
Yeah.
I don't know their structure fully, but I'm sure that some of these decisions might have to be done or voted on at the committee level, similar how we structure ourselves.
You could say, if you have an energy committee already, we'd love to work with you. If you don't, we'd love to offer ourselves as support for you.
Yeah,
see where it goes.
we've done some reach out to the high school,
Yeah.
the teacher kids level for some stuff. This is probably beyond the scope of their help, but
Yeah.
we're starting to do more engagement with them.
That's excellent.
Well, the school has a Lindsay too.
The school has a Lindsay too.
Yeah,
Wow.
don't they?
I don't think so.
Oh, I thought they did.
They have they have facilities, they have a Karen. They have
Oh, okay. Well,
facilities and buildings and grounds.
yeah, okay.
But that's a great person to work with as they're thinking about this heating system's getting old, the lighting, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this connection between the school board something the chair of this committee should initiate, or I'm admittedly unsure of my
That's a great idea.
boundaries?
I think
Reach
if
out
the
and say, I'm
committee
new
were
and-
interested in the idea of a presentation at the school board, and then you would be the one to reach out to the school board chair and, ask if that's something that they would be interested in and find a mutually agreeable date. Yep.
Swanson and David Smith and
Okay.
a number of actually, one of our camera guys here is on the school board too.
Oh, all right.
Excellent.
Everyone's connected.
Yeah. That's the great thing about this.
Some overlap, yeah.
I'm actually sitting next to the chairman tomorrow night, so
Okay.
Perfect.
I could mention it to him.
Please do, yeah.
Yeah.
What event is that?
But What?
What, is that another committee meeting tomorrow?
Charter Commission.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But you should initiate them. I can just tell them you're going to contact them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, it's getting late and we've spent a ton of time on, I mean, a worthwhile topic, but let's.
No worries.
Yeah, we can try and get through the next couple of items quickly if that's okay. So basically, we have our reduce, reuse, and recycle, or just generally waste reduction goals aligned with the master plan and the committee's goals. So one of the things, and you just mentioned, we're engaging with the high school. They have a net zero group, and I've had some conversations with them. It's a little slow, but I've given them some proposals. I think my homework assignment from last meeting was to give them a few ideas, and one of their ideas that I think they liked the most was a video and some sort of project related to just educational awareness that we could bring, maybe incorporate onto the town website, maybe get them engaged with the video experts and production experts that the town has access to. So more to come there. I think my understanding or my thinking was that I'd bring this to the board or to the committee to help curate that idea. So since we're kind of running late today, maybe we can table this until the November meeting, if that makes sense.
I'm fine with that. I did think we got something from Casella about recycling, whatever. Maybe as part of the discussion with the net zero group that we can use this and say, hey, can you do something with this to, to get the word out?
Right. So yeah, an educational campaign is probably part of what we were hoping the students could do, and we really just wanted to reach out to them to give them the opportunity to engage with the committee, be aware that it exists, offer a spot on the committee, which they declined.
Worth a shot.
The Conservation Commission is having a meeting with Casella specifically to talk about like pizza boxes and stuff like that. So if you're going to do a joint meeting with them, that might be a good thing to combine.
Okay. Is that their next meeting? Their monthly?
I'm not sure. She sits on a board with the president of Casella, and so she calls the president directly and gets stuff done. It works really well for her.
Yeah, so I think like this is something that I've been personally really passionate about, is plastic bags contamination in our recycling stream, and hoping that signage both at the transfer station and potentially disseminating it, to residents.
Do you have Chris's email?
Right?
Yes, I do have like 3 of her emails, and I sent
Oh,
her
right, we were
messages to 2
trying,
of them, and she hasn't responded. So I was actually going to give you or her a call. She suggested that we have a joint meeting with the Conservation Commission, and I wanted me, Scott, and her, his wife is the chair of the Conservation Commission. Chris, just to talk initially, get together and talk and say, what is it that we want to accomplish, how we want to do it. So tell her to look, she's got her 2 Gmail IDs I sent notes to.
Check her email.
She's on the phone, so it must be she's watching the thing. Hello? What email do you want? What email do you want Scott to use?
It was just an email about that we wanted. I wanted to talk with her and Scott.
CRISA.
Yeah.
Blackstone, BLACKSTONE @gmail.com. No H in Chris.
No H in Chris. That's right.
And no punctuation anywhere in that.
It didn't get kicked back to me. No.
Did you get Joe's email?
Follow up.
She said she hasn't gotten any of your
I
emails.
sent her 2. Okay.
All right. We'll figure that out.
Okay. She's watching on TV.
Oh, she's watching us?
Yeah.
We need to have like a speaker.
So I do want to have a meeting with her, just the 3 of us, just
great.
to kind of gel and see what is it we want to do.
Yeah.
Hi, Chris.
And then Joe, do you want to give us a quick
really have nothing
update?
to update on Community Power other than the September financials are in, that they're going towards plan. We're 2 cents higher than Eversource for the time being, like I say, because we burned through reserves at the end of 2024 and the first part of 2025. So they're back on schedule. There is a membership meeting this Friday that I'm going to attend, and we'll get some more information. So.
Okay, so things are trending slightly more positive compared to last month.
Correct.
That's good news. I did see there's a fairly senior level position open at their community power.
There's a couple of them,
Are
but
there?
the question is, do they want to fund them at this point?
Yeah,
Because
it's interesting timing.
no.
Okay. And then, yeah, I already mentioned it, but there's I think it's the 28th at 6 p.m., Oyster River Middle School. Is that the right date?
Yeah, the
Thank you.
28th.
6?
We're targeting 6 just because we might have a little bit of daylight left,
Okay.
just to visually see it. I think Dave said it won't make that much of a difference if it's dark, so that's good, but
That's nice, it's nice to get I mean, you can always arrive early or just take a drive-by
Right,
at some
yeah.
other point, but
yeah.
but I think it's nice to see it.
Yeah, that's so anyone that's interested in joining, I did send an email to the whole committee, but I don't think it's formal that we need to give them a specific number of people that are going, but if logistically you need assistance and help, like getting there if you're interested in going, just respond to that email, please.
There'll be some people from UNH there, as well as the Durham Energy Committee.
Yeah. And on a similar vein, this is unrelated to this specific topic, but Revision is offering a tour of the Kingston facility the very next morning, which I signed up for. It's a lot of solar tours. But if anyone wants to go to that, I can try and find the information and share, so just reach out. Okay. We already discussed, kind of went out of order, but we already discussed a potential joint meeting with the Conservation Commission. Chris, please respond to Joe's email.
There's the camera over there.
And then I think, yeah, this is actually an important one for scheduling next meeting, given Thanksgiving. You're probably better suited to scheduling than me, but it would typically fall on the 19th, right? Or the
Normally it's
26th?
either the last or the fourth, and so that's the 26th.
26th, okay. And Thanksgiving is the 27th, right? Yeah.
Right, so do we want to do the 19th?
It would be a month, so it would at least keep a cadence of monthly. That would, the
The 19th?
Yeah, the 19th would be 4 weeks from now, so that at least it wouldn't compress us, since we went early.
That's what I was gonna ask,
Changing
yeah.
it on the 26th.
Oh, yeah, it's downtown, that's right.
I think the 26th is, I mean, it's assuming people are around given Thanksgiving, but.
Someone can bring turkey.
Sounds great.
Makes for a sleepy meeting.
Yeah.
All those are opposed, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you could consider pushing it 1 week, because December you'll run into the same situation with Christmas. So if you push it 1 week, maybe you just have the one in the middle, first week in December.
I think the 3rd might be a better option.
December 3rd?
December 3rd, yeah.
That's a town council meeting.
Oh.
Does it have to be a Wednesday?
It could be November 12th.
Honestly, Thursday or 4th works too.
Too soon.
I do have planning board meetings on Tuesday, second Tuesday of the month, so. That would be
Monthly?
the only thing that would be, yeah, monthly, so I'd imagine the 9th would be, I just couldn't do the 9th if you shifted it. But if you did like the 2nd or the 4th, you kept that week, I think I would be able to do that.
What day of the week is that?
Thursday is
Like Tuesday.
4th, and Tuesday's the 2nd.
Tuesday?
To avoid the, yeah, Tuesday or Thursday, that first week of December, to avoid the council meeting overlap. You guys, well, if you're good to double up back-to-back days.
I'm out of state on the first week of December, realizing this, so if we won't be there. Yeah, we could do the 25th too, is that a council meeting or anything? Trying to load that? Is that better, not, as opposed to the day before Thanksgiving?
I'm personally not opposed to doing it the week of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I'm opposed
I'm
either. I
able.
think the 25th probably sounds a little more
Easier.
palatable than the 26th,
Yeah, I would agree with you. From you guys? Good?
I'm gone that whole week.
The 25th? The
Yeah.
24th? Okay.
What day did we say?
We were leaning towards, I guess, like the 25th.
Tuesday? Tuesday, the 25th?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just to make it a little easier.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yep, that's,
It might be the best we can get. Yeah. Okay.
so I do, would the committee be interested in having a presentation on what group net metering is, just like, kind of like an educational type thing?
I think so.
Yep.
Yes.
More information, better. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I assume we'll have some updates by then too, right? Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Well, it'll be cutting it close if we don't.
Yeah, I guess would you need any kind of, since it sounds like it's free for those, not assessments, feasibility study. It's really hung up in my head. You wouldn't need us or really the town to approve anything, so you'd be able to move on getting those studies.
Yeah, I think so. I'm just gathering information.
Yeah, I guess I just don't want it to like wait till
Free.
the end of November to be
Agreed,
sitting on that.
yeah.
So I
And
think
those
that,
just did it, and like a week later, they were already like,
Really?
on it. Yeah, so they were like first to jump. So
so then I guess also by then we may
yeah,
actually have
we may actually
feasibility
have
studies.
information to talk about that.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Sweet.
All right. I think with that, we can adjourn, unless anyone has any other points.
Sounds good to me.
We didn't rush away, or we just-
I don't think so.
Well, thank you for hosting us.
My pleasure. Yeah, this is very informative.
Second.
Yeah.